Okay, today we're going to do a sequence and I'm going to show you how to use it. And what we're going to try to do, instead of thinking about the technique, we're going to think about how we're going to use it for training open mat or how we're going to train properly with a little bit of like progressive resistance. So let's have a look at how we train it dry for a start. So we're going to start with this sequence. It's going to be really easy. Lee's going to put me in the closed guard position. I'm going to take my opponent's arm, stick it in his pocket, stand up, lead leg first, break his guard, step back, step for a shin cut pass. I'm going to wrap my underhook, pull him up, step over, and finish for armbar. So it's a relatively simple sequence, and that's how we do it. You can pop up again, sorry. That's how we would do it if we were doing it kind of dry. So in other words, when we first learned it, we can do that 10, 20, 30, 40 times, get the programming in. Maybe some of the elements in the techniques are new to you. Perhaps the armbar is new, perhaps the guard break is new, or any other element. So that's how we do it when we practice. That's the first stage of our training. You're practicing really slow. Your opponent's letting you do it. He's giving you appropriate reactions. He's not lying there like a dummy, but he's giving you appropriate reactions and he's allowing you to progress in each system. The issue that we have is a lot of times people miss the middle stage of training. So they do that one perfectly well, and then the next time they do it, it's sparring. 3, 2, 1, come back, and Lee ain't letting me get that hand, and I never see that technique. Especially if you're less experienced, you never see that technique again. Until eventually it works, hopefully in a month's time, 2, 3 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time. So what we use progressive resistance. In other words, Lee is going to give me a little bit of a volume dial. And you'll forgive me the spinal tap reference, but he goes from 1 to 11. 1 is like, you don't know what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. 1 is like absolutely no resistance, what we just did, and 11 is like full sparring. But most of the time when Lee is training, even at his maximum training, his competition training, he should be at about an 8. And when he's doing resistance or semi-resisted sparring or drilling, he should be at about like a 2 or 3. So in other words, I should get it quite a lot, and I should build my confidence in the technique. I should feel how he feels when he moves realistically, but I don't want him moving so fast and so hard that I'm not able to do it at all. So even as a black belt training with like purple or blue belts or anything like that tonight, if I've got a new technique that I want to work, it's going to be completely impossible for me to execute that new technique, even if unless my partner is really, really less experienced than me and lighter than me, slower than me, and so on. I'm not going to be able to use my new technique. So I have to rely on good training partners, people who are moving in lighter fashion so that they'll allow me to progress at least a little bit. And it's good for them as well. It's good for Lee as well to let me progress a little bit so he can also learn how to defend when their opponent gets to those positions. So let's have a look. So that was number 1 we saw already, like 1 on Lee's dial. Number 2, he might like hold on to the closed guard a little harder and make me break it a little harder. Then immediately go for grips when I get here so that I have to think about what I'm going to do properly. And when I shoot in here like this, he might make it a little harder for me to get the arm. And when I do, he's going to allow me to make the submission. Bingo. We go back. We might go to level 3, level 4, until eventually what we start to work with is specifics. So in other words, now he might let me get all the way through, but like block the armbar. So make me really work for it till I can set it up properly. And so on. The issue that people have is that it takes a little bit of a good training partner, a bit of experience for this person to be a good training partner, right? So it takes him a little while to get experience. So when you're a beginner, when you're at white belt, and you're first doing your open mats, you're coming up to train with a friend, or even you're practicing at home, if you're lucky enough to have somebody to practice with, what you should be thinking about doing is, the technique itself is fine, and to do it over and over, repeat it, is really, really good practice. So even if he's just at level 1 all the time, that's still really, really good practice. What isn't really, really good practice, if he's too hard, too fast, but also the other way, which is that he doesn't replicate a good, realistic training partner. And this actually happens quite a lot. And you even see this in drilling. So for example, if I go here, I pin Lee's arm and Lee's legs just flop up like now, and I come up, and you see this quite a lot. And then I go here, and then when I go to pass, he's flopping, and people say to me all the time when we're doing this armbar, it's like, I can't get the armbar because when I go around to the other side, his arm is like miles away from me. I'm like, this is because this guy's lying flat on his back doing nothing. He's lying there like a dead fish. So for him to be a good training partner, he has to move realistically like a partner, like he would in rolls. So after I do the open guard, then he's got to turn towards me because that's really good for this technique. So I have to fish underneath for the underhook. I have to pull him up, and I have to execute really fast to try and get the position that we're doing. So the sequence there is simple enough, and you've probably learned it already. You can pop up, Lee, thanks. You've probably learned it already in some way. To make sure that you do that properly though, or that sequence or any other sequence, back control, takedowns, anything like that. That realistic resistance, realistic shape, a good sparring partner, a good training partner I should say, and that you're dialing up your volume ever so slightly. When you're drilling technique, now is not the time to learn to show how cool you are at defending something. So Lee's job isn't to show me how great his sweeps are. His job is to be a good training partner. Expose a little bit of my mistakes if you can, but not so hard as he's just completely dominating me each time. I need success. To train well, you need some failure, but you also need a lot of success to build your confidence in the techniques, and also to build your motor patterns in the techniques as well. Okay, I hope that helps out this week. Hope to see you training soon. Thanks for watching.